While you've been watching the news for collapse warnings, it's already happening right outside your front door. Most people miss these 10 neighborhood signs completely, but once you see them, you'll realize how far along we actually are. That empty parking lot at your local Target isn't just because it's Tuesday afternoon. Walk through any shopping center these days, and you'll notice something off. Spaces that used to be packed now have that eerie post-apocalyptic vibe. But here's what's really happening behind those glass doors. Head into the grocery store and check out what people are actually buying. The frozen pizza aisle, nearly cleaned out. Meanwhile, those beautiful organic tomatoes and fresh herbs are sitting there like wallflowers at a high school dance. Nobody's asking them to dance because frozen meals cost $3 while fresh ingredients for one meal can easily hit 15. Makes sense, right? Then there's the thrift store phenomenon that's quietly exploding everywhere. Goodwill parking lots are busier than some malls now. People aren't just donating their old stuff, they're shopping there like it's their primary store. That designer jacket for $8 beats the department store version for $80, and the weird part is, you'll spot people driving nice cars pulling up to these second-hand shops. Economic pressure doesn't discriminate by vehicle type. But let's talk about something most people never think about: cardboard boxes. Seriously, those delivery trucks rumbling through neighborhoods, they're carrying fewer boxes than they used to. When people stop buying new stuff, the entire supply chain feels it. Distribution centers, shipping companies, even the companies making those brown boxes are all connected to your neighbor's decision to skip that Amazon purchase. Walk down the snack aisle at any grocery store, and you'll see another telltale sign. Those shelves used to get demolished by weekend shoppers grabbing chips, cookies, and random munchies. Now, they're surprisingly well stocked. Impulse buying takes a backseat when every dollar counts. People are making lists, sticking to essentials, and leaving those overpriced snacks behind. Local store managers are noticing patterns their corporate offices haven't caught up to yet. One grocery worker mentioned how customers used to grab items without checking prices. Now everyone's doing math in their heads, comparing unit costs like they're solving algebra problems. The casual throw-it-in-the-cart shopping style is becoming extinct. What's fascinating is how these changes ripple through entire communities without anyone officially announcing them. Town hall meeting declared we're all shopping differently now. It just happened. Store by store, family by family, decision by decision. The beauty supply store down the street closed last month. The fancy kitchen gadget shop, gone, but the dollar store expanded their hours because demand is through the roof. These aren't random business decisions. They're responding to a fundamental shift in how people spend money. And here's where it gets interesting. While everyone's cutting back on shopping trips and buying fewer new things, other behaviors are starting to emerge. People are making different choices about the small treats and comforts they used to take for granted. Those tiny luxuries that once felt automatic are suddenly requiring serious consideration. When money gets tight, something funny happens with the way we treat ourselves. People don't just cut back on everything. They get picky about their splurges. You know what I mean. Walk through any neighborhood right now, and you'll notice the party sounds have gotten quieter. Those weekend celebrations with champagne popping and friends laughing until late, they're happening way less often. The wine shop owner down the street will tell you the expensive bottles are collecting dust, but here's the weird part. People are still buying alcohol, they're just buying it differently. Mini bottles are flying off the shelves. Those tiny airplane-sized liquor bottles that used to seem kind of sad, well, they're everywhere now. Shopping baskets that once held full-sized bottles of wine now carry 3 or 4 mini bottles instead. It's like people figured out they can still have their Friday night drink without the Friday night price tag. Smart, honestly. But the real surprise is happening in the makeup aisles. Lipstick sales are going through the roof. Not the fancy $100 kind. The drugstore tubes that cost less than a coffee. Economists call this the lipstick effect, and it's been around forever. When people can't afford big purchases, they buy small things that make them feel good. A new shade of red beats buying a new car any day, right? Then there's what's happening at beauty salons. The chairs aren't empty, but the conversations have changed. Women are asking for basic cuts instead of full color treatments. Men are skipping the extras and sticking to simple trims. The nail art is getting simpler, and those expensive deep conditioning treatments, not so much. People still want to look good, they just want to look good for less. Let's not forget how family fun has shifted. Remember when weekends meant trips to amusement parks, movies with overpriced popcorn, or dinner at that place with the good appetizers? Those outings are shrinking fast. Local bowling alleys report fewer birthday parties. Mini golf courses see more empty weekends. Even the ice cream truck seems to make fewer stops through the neighborhood. Parents are getting creative though. Instead of paying for entertainment, they're making it. Backyard movie nights with borrowed projectors. Picnics in the park instead of restaurant meals. Kids are learning that fun doesn't always come with a receipt, which isn't necessarily a bad lesson. The leisure spots that used to buzz with activity feel different now. Community pools have fewer families splashing around. The local arcade games aren't getting as much action. Even the coffee shops notice people nursing one drink longer, instead of ordering that second latte. What's really telling is how these changes ripple through everything. When fewer people celebrate, party supply stores feel it. When salon visits get simpler, hair product sales shift. It's all connected in ways most people never think about. These small luxury adjustments might seem minor, but they're just the beginning. Because when families start feeling the real pinch, the changes go way deeper than skipping champagne or buying cheaper lipstick. The next shift hits where it really counts, right in the daily survival budget. When money gets tight, families become creative, not the fun Pinterest kind of creative either. The desperate, how can we make this last another week kind of creative that would make a Depression-era grandmother proud. Here's where it gets weird. Diaper sales drop, but not because babies suddenly learn to potty train faster. Parents stretch those diapers longer between changes. The result? Diaper rash ointment sales spike harder than a teenager's voice. Babies pay the price for tight budgets, literally on their bottoms. Makes you wonder what other corners families cut when nobody's watching, right? Hardware stores become the new neighborhood hangouts. Suddenly everyone's an expert at fixing leaky faucets and patching holes in walls. YouTube repair tutorials get more views than cat videos. Well, almost. The replace it mentality dies fast when your bank account looks like a barren wasteland. Instead of buying new, people learn to make old things work again. Amazing how handy you become when broke. Then there's the coupon revolution happening in plain sight. Facebook neighborhood groups transform into deal hunting headquarters. Susan from 3 houses down becomes the unofficial coupon queen, sharing Target clearance finds like she's distributing classified intel. People screenshot grocery store apps at midnight, hunting digital coupons like they're searching for buried treasure. Because honestly, finding 30 cents off cereal feels pretty close to striking gold these days. Drive through any residential area, and you'll spot the telltale signs. Fresh paint jobs on old fences, patched driveways, garden beds built from scrap wood. Everyone's suddenly discovered their inner handyman. The weird part is how proud people get about these DIY victories. Nothing says economic stress quite like a neighbor bragging about fixing their own garbage disposal. Pet owners face tough choices too. Fluffy and Rover switch from premium kibble to store brand everything. Dog treats become rare luxuries, not daily rewards. Vet visits get postponed unless it's truly urgent. The local pet store notices immediately when squeaky toys sit unsold and bulk food bags move slower than usual. Even man's best friend feels the financial pinch, though they probably just think their humans got less generous overnight. Let's not forget the rise of neighborhood bartering systems. "I'll fix your lawnmower if you watch my kids" becomes common currency. Skill swapping replaces cash transactions. The electrician trades work for homemade meals. The teacher tutors in exchange for car repairs. These informal economies pop up everywhere, creating networks people never knew they needed. But the most telling sign: garage sales multiply like rabbits in spring. Every weekend brings fresh waves of families selling belongings they once thought essential. Kids' toys, kitchen gadgets, books, clothes, all priced to move fast. One person's decluttering becomes another's treasure hunting, though everyone knows the real motivation behind these sudden urges to simplify. While families master the art of stretching dollars at home, something bigger shifts in the working world. The changes happening in offices, restaurants, and businesses tell an even more dramatic story about what's really going on. When times get tough, the first place you notice it isn't in some fancy economic report. It's in the surprisingly empty tip jar at the local strip club. Dancers across the country report their income dropping by 30 to 50% during economic downturns. Makes sense, right? Entertainment money disappears faster than rent money. But here's what's wild. This industry serves as one of the most accurate early warning systems for economic trouble, because it relies entirely on disposable income. Walk down Main Street and count the help wanted signs. Remember when every restaurant, retail store, and gas station had desperate pleas for workers taped to their windows? Those signs are vanishing like morning fog. Businesses aren't just being picky about hiring anymore. They're cutting hours for existing employees. The local coffee shop that used to stay open until 9 p.m. now closes at 6. The hardware store gives their weekend workers 3 days instead of 5. Then there's the small business graveyard starting to form. That family-owned bookstore you meant to visit more often. Closed permanently. The boutique clothing shop that somehow survived Amazon's assault. Gone. These aren't massive corporate restructurings making headlines. They're quiet closures that barely register a social media post. The owners just lock the door one Tuesday and never come back. Let's not forget the parking lots full of dreams. RV dealerships look like crowded storage facilities. Boat lots resemble maritime museums where nothing ever sells. These big-ticket recreational purchases require confidence in the future, and when that confidence evaporates, so do the sales. A $40,000 RV stops looking like freedom and starts looking like financial suicide. And the weird part is how community resources suddenly become lifelines. Local food banks report increased demand from people who never imagined they'd need help. Community centers that used to host yoga classes and book clubs now focus on job placement services and free meals. Churches expand their soup kitchens not because they want to, but because they have to. The gig economy workers feel it first and hardest. Uber drivers sit in empty parking lots waiting for rides that don't come. DoorDash delivery people compete for fewer orders as people cook more at home. Freelance graphic designers watch their client list shrink as marketing budgets get slashed. These workers don't qualify for traditional unemployment benefits, so they just quietly struggle. But why do some businesses thrive while others collapse? Pawn shops suddenly become neighborhood banks. Discount stores see lines around the block. Dollar Tree reports record profits while luxury retailers file for bankruptcy. The economy isn't dying, it's just changing its shopping habits. Notice how repair shops get busier while retail stores get quieter. People fix broken appliances instead of buying new ones. They patch clothes instead of replacing wardrobes. YouTube tutorials about fixing everything from refrigerators to smartphones get millions of views. The workforce shuffle creates strange patterns you can spot if you know where to look. But the real story emerges when you see how people's daily habits transform completely. Suddenly everyone becomes an expert on budgeting. Your neighbor who used to brag about weekend shopping sprees now shares tips about generic cereal brands. The guy down the street starts conversations about which gas stations have the cheapest prices. These aren't casual mentions anymore. They're serious discussions that happen over fences, in grocery store lines, and during kids' soccer pickup. Children notice things adults think they miss. Birthday parties get smaller or disappear entirely. The bounce house rental becomes a backyard sprinkler instead. Pizza parties turn into homemade cake celebrations. Kids adapt faster than anyone expects, but they definitely feel the shift when their friend's family can't afford the usual summer camp or movie outings. Libraries transform into community gold mines overnight. Book checkouts spike, but that's just the beginning. People discover free movie rentals, computer access, and classes they never knew existed. The library parking lot stays packed all day. Families treat it like their personal entertainment center because everything costs $0. Then there's the underground economy that springs up everywhere. Facebook neighborhood groups buzz with trade offers. I'll fix your fence if you help me move furniture. Anyone want to swap babysitting for lawn care? Garage sales multiply like rabbits, but now they're essential income sources rather than spring cleaning events. People sell items they actually need because rent money trumps sentiment. Community gatherings reveal the most telling changes. Block parties still happen, but potluck dishes shift dramatically. Expensive cheese plates disappear. Homemade casseroles and simple snacks dominate the tables. The beer selection becomes whatever's on sale, not craft brewery favorites. Everyone pretends this was always the plan, but the difference feels obvious to anyone paying attention. Well, here's where things get interesting. People start talking differently about money, not just spending less, but questioning everything they used to buy without thinking. Why did we need that expensive coffee every morning? Was that subscription service really worth it? The mental shift goes deeper than just cutting expenses. And the weird part is how creative everyone becomes when necessity kicks in. Home repair videos get millions of views as people tackle projects they would have hired professionals for last year. Cooking channels explode with cheap meal ideas. YouTube becomes the new trade school for anyone willing to learn instead of pay. Local businesses feel this creativity surge too. Some adapt by offering payment plans or reduced services. Others don't make it through the transition. Empty storefronts multiply, creating an eerie reminder of how quickly things change when spending habits flip overnight. Makes sense, right? When people stop buying non-essential items, the businesses selling those items struggle immediately. The ripple effect touches everyone, from the teenager who lost their part-time retail job, to the landlord dealing with empty commercial spaces. But here's what most people miss. These changes don't happen in isolation. They're connected to much bigger economic forces that started long before anyone noticed fewer people buying snacks or more families trading services. The signs were always there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to connect the dots.